Good evening and welcome to another edition of You and Your Money. I'm Bryan Hirsch. Tonight we'll be focusing on the short-term insurance industry. In recent years, the public seems to have become quite confused as to who they are dealing with when short-term insurance companies outsource their underwriting to what they call underwriting managers. And I decided tonight to tackle it from a different angle and to bring Antonio Iozzo on, Managing Director of Insurance Underwriting Managers, to discuss and unpack. Antonio was awarded Businessman of the Year at the 2014 F&B and Italian Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Awards. And Antonio, first time on the show with me. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Brian.
Just unpack to us the chain for consumers. You've got the insurance companies, you've got the brokers. Where do you fit in?
We basically fit in between the insurance company and the broker. So basically the insurance company will outsource its underwriting functions to a specialist. So we've seen a specialist in our niche that we play in. And we handle everything from policy issuing to handling the claims, collecting the premiums. And basically we're there to ensure that the insurance company makes a profit, and the service that we deliver is very specialized.
Antonio, that puts a lot of trust in you. I mean, insurance companies have got to pick someone who's actually going to underwrite and also, I would imagine, calculate premiums and try and make a profit for the company. They're putting a lot of trust in you by giving you what I think they call a binder.
It's a binder. It's an outsourced binder function.
So just explain the process.
So basically they'll look at your staff that you have in your business and what expertise are housed within your company and what specialities you want to focus on. And then basically we are left to design our own products, our own policy wordings, and everything is handled in-house. So a lot of brokers prefer dealing with an underwriter because they're dealing with a smaller business. We're able to make decisions there and then in the business. If they want to come in for a meeting and they want a decision made on a claim, they come and talk to us straight away.
So, I mean, do you have the right to pay out any claim? What about repudiations? What about
within the boundaries of the policy wording.
And then just explain, so isn't this another extra layer of cost? You've got the broker, you've got the underwriting agency, and the insurance company.
Not really, because the cost that the insurer would have borne to handle that function itself in-house is passed on to us.
Is this a new innovative trend globally, underwriting agencies?
It's been around for quite a while. We've seen quite a number of underwriting managers spring up in South Africa over the years. And now it looks like it's getting smaller again as the pressure is now put on pricing, claims, underwriting. So really, I think only the specialists are going to be left in the market at the end of the day.
Tell me now about quality of advice. Has that improved over the last number of years? I mean, what they used to say is whatever the bold print in the front of the policy gave you, the small print took away.
Well, more and more the brokers have to give the correct advice. If they don't give the correct advice, they can get reported to the insurance ombudsman. At the end of the day, the client is king. And obviously with all the RE exams that have come in, the level of expertise in our industry has definitely increased. And we're happy with it.
And so what happens if you decide that a particular claim is not covered by a policy? Is my policy underwritten by one of the large South African insurers, or is it underwritten by your agency?
The license holder is still one of the large insurers, so they still hold the license. So at the end of the day, if anything goes wrong, the license holder is still responsible.
And if I don't like the claim settlement, can I go over your head and go directly to insurance?
Well, that's what you got the insurance ombudsman there for. He's there to have a look and to decide if any wrongdoing or any advice wasn't given to you, or if your claim should get paid. And once the ombudsman makes a ruling, we have to follow suit.
Tony, tell me, technology must play a big part in your business.
Yes, it's everything. If your technology is not up to scratch, and technology is driving our insurance industry, apps, assessing, everything has to happen, and it has to happen now. So if you are not spending money on RT and your infrastructure is not geared towards delivering everything over the internet, emailing client schedules, developing apps for your assessors to assess vehicles timeously, you can't stay in this game.
Do you think that insurance premiums are too low? I mean, I know that's, I mean, the consumer is going to say insurance premiums are too high. But as an underwriter, I mean, you look at claims ratios, you look at investment returns, you know, to judge how your book is doing. So what is where do you see premiums going?
The problem at the moment is that insurance premiums are being driven down, and they've been going down for a number of years. And competition is stiff, so no one wants to lose business. So when clients and books of business are under attack, insurers keep cutting their prices. The claims are increasing. So in turn, what happens is either there's more stringent policy conditions that are imposed on the client. A lot of clients don't really know they might be losing cover on their policy, getting less cover for their money. And the underwriting criteria is getting more stringent. So at the end of the day, the prices are low, and the insurers are suffering to ensure that they make their prescribed profit that they want to make.
Well, you're watching In Your Money. We're talking short-term insurance. I'm going to give a number out shortly. We're also going to handle all the emails that have come in during the evening. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to New Money. My guest this evening, Antonio Iozzo from Insurance Underwriting Managers. We're discussing short-term insurance. And if you'd like to call us, our number is 011-280-3899. You can also email me on brian@bdtv.co.za. Before we went off an air, you were getting a little bit hummed up on technology. Yeah. And I know that is changing the face of insurance. So firstly, let's talk about your company's technology, and then let's talk about how does this benefit the consumer.
Okay. Well, we recently launched a product called Seeing Machines into the South African trucking market, where we specialize trucking and transport. And basically, in the transport industry, the fatalities that we've seen and the carnage on the roads, probably about 50 to 60% of it is due to driver fatigue. And telematics plays a major role in the transport industry, being able to govern your trucks, monitor their speed, monitor harsh driving. And what the product that we've brought out is it's an advanced driver fatigue program, and a product which the camera links onto your eyes, and it monitors your blink rate, and it's able to determine when you enter into your first stage of microsleep. So when you're driving along, and most people have experienced it, and you basically close your eyes and your head nods down, basically that's your precursor to sleep. And as it detects that you're having a microsleep, it's got a vibrator under your seat that vibrates. It's got an alarm inside the cab that goes off, and it immediately sends that video clip plus all the driver's details to my call center, and we in turn have to get in touch with the company's operator to get that driver off the road before he has an accident.
Because I mean, the fatalities on the road through trucking is absolutely enormous. It's actually quite horrific when you see some of these accidents. And
well, I mean, there's many facets to that. You know, transporters are put under immense pressure to also reduce their rates, and the truck drivers are driving longer periods of time. And in turn, the maintenance on their trucks sometimes falls behind. Their drivers aren't as well trained. So there's many facets to what's happening. And
I'm going to pick that up with you at the moment. Let me just take a call. Marina, good evening. Go ahead with the question.
I'm Brian. Brian, are there vast differences in policy wording on household risk and motors from one insurer to another?
Thanks, Marina. We'll talk about policy wording, because you just mentioned it, that maybe you're not getting what you buy. But let's just stay with this. Let's just stay with this technology. I mean, is it a condition of your policy that a company with large trucks on the road actually implements this telematics?
No, it's not a condition. You need to get the transporter to buy into the technology, and for him to also understand that he's going to be saving lives, saving his drivers' lives, saving his fleet, getting his goods delivered. So it's, at the end of the day, it's a win-win. And if insurers and underwriters can't find ways to reduce the client's risk without imposing premiums and more stringent policy conditions, it's going to become tough out there. So
is there empirical evidence to say that this technology works globally?
100%. It was first introduced into the mining industry, where they've got very stringent conditions on the mining sites that if they have an incident, most of the time the mine will shut down for an investigation. And it's been running there for about the last 6 years. And we actually took that technology and got the company in Australia to develop a product for the fleet industry. And we launched it now. We're the first in the world in South Africa to launch this product.
Let's just talk about, take Marina. Marina did ask a question about household and rural, but let's just talk about policy wordings in general. I would have thought that by now there'd be much more standardization of policy wordings as compared to different policy wordings in different policies.
Yeah, the policy wordings are quite standard. At the end of the day, you might have certain elements of your policy where you've got more cover. You might have slightly less excesses. But at the end of the day, the policies are quite standard. It really is just a different wrapping at the end of the day. But the short-term, like a multi-mark policy, which is in the short-term industry, is very much the same across all lines of business.
But you still got to read your policy and make sure you understand it.
100%.
We got an email from Ryan in Sandown. He says, how competitive is the market at present, and has it been impacted by the recession that the global economy has experienced? What can insurers do to become more competitive? So let's first talk about the third thing. How's the global economy, the deterioration over recent years affected the insurance industry?
It's just driving prices down at the moment. Everyone's becoming cheaper. You just have to stay competitive. You have to cut your costs internally. You have to be able to run your own operations with less money to stay more efficient. So it's forcing everyone to become more efficient.
Tell me, Antonio, are underwriting managers becoming more prevalent in the South African market? Are there a lot of underwriting managers? I mean, you think you're dealing with a Santam or a Mutual and Federal or whatever the case may be. Are you mainly dealing with brokers? And also, who do you deal with? The consumer, directly, or brokers?
We only deal through brokers, so we don't actually deal directly with the consumer at all. I would say, going forward, underwriting managers are going to become fewer and fewer. The market is very tough at the moment, and really only the strong and the guys that are going to be able to adapt and change are going to survive.
So you've got to know what you're doing.
100%.
So just to answer Marina's question, I would imagine that you've got to understand your policy. You've got to understand what cover you're buying. Because if your premium suddenly is going to be a lot cheaper than what you were paying before, there's the possibility that some of the cover you had in place may have disappeared.
On your household products, household and motor especially, a lot of insurers, in order to drive their premiums down, do start cutting your cover. So if you look on some motor policies, generally you would get third-party cover for 2.5 million rand as a standard. Some guys only give 200,000. So if you bump into a very expensive car and you don't know that your policy only gives you 200,000 rand cover, you could be in for a couple 100,000 rand on a third-party claim. And then your household conditions of alarms and burglar bars, you need to know what you need to have in order to be covered. Yeah.
You've got an email from Johan in Clark Talk. It says, am I able to buy specific insurance without risking the danger of being underinsured? I think they mean, do I have to insure everything? You know, the old days is you can't select against the company. Now can you, actually, I mean, I know you can buy cell insurance. I would imagine you can buy for your computers and things like that.
You can. Most of that is really offered through the retail stores. So if you go and buy your computer, if you go and buy an Apple iPhone at the Apple store, you can take out insurance right there and then. So that's more into the retail space if you're buying specifically for the product that you just purchased.
Temba in Cape Town says, could you please explain when one should insure motor comprehensively or only have limited cover? Why hasn't government not enforced compulsory motor damage insurance? I mean, we've been talking about this on this program now for 8 or 9 years. I mean, what percentage of people would you say are actually driving uninsured?
Well, the first thing is that you probably got at least 50% of the fleet in South Africa that's uninsured. And back in the day, you used to have third-party insurance cover as a standard that's like a minimum that every vehicle has to have. And that's really something that I think government should look at and should be brought back. When you buy your license, in comes your third-party cover, and at least if you cause damage to somebody else's vehicle or some other asset or some other person, you insured. And
we're not talking about third-party injury. We talk about damage, third-party. I mean, you know, as you say, if half people in South Africa are driving uninsured, and it's not your fault, you're standing at a traffic light, you get hit from behind, and the person behind you doesn't have any assets, doesn't have any insurance, you are not only going to pay for your own damage, you've got your excess to pay for, your premiums are going to go up.
100%.
Is there a move to get government to actually consider compulsory insurance, like it is in other parts of the world?
No.
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 Okay. Well, let me take Lee. Lee, good evening. Go ahead with the question.
Good evening, Brian. My claim has been repudiated because my debit order did not operate for 2 months. I've been paying this for over 15 years without even missing a month.
How would you handle that?
Unfortunately, most policies, if your first debit order bounces because of insufficient funds, there will be a restrike. But on the second time...
Restrike mean resubmission?
Resubmission the following month. So
to collect 2 months' premium?
Collect 2 months' premium. But if that one bounces, your policy automatically cancels. So
here we've got someone who's been with an insurer 15 years. What about the old saying, loyalty is rewarded, ex gratia payments?
Unfortunately, that would be up to the insurer to then have a look at the client's loss ratio and to make a call on whether they would look to entertain that under an ex gratia.
So what can Lee do now? She can obviously take it to the phase ombud.
No, you can't.
But the chances, she can. The chances are that she's not going to win the case.
It's not going to be covered. Your best bet is to maybe write a motivation letter stating how long you've been there, what premiums you've paid over the time, how many claims you've had, and really try and motivate a case, even for a part payment, is better than nothing.
Yeah. Okay, Jason in Benoni says, we are currently reviewing our business insurance. How do we insure our business against fire and theft? And then also, for fire, and then he says, and a lesser amount for theft. I mean, we'll come back to, we're going to take a break now. We're going to take a short break. You can still call me on 011-280-3899. We're talking short-term insurance. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. We're talking short-term insurance this evening. Jason in Benoni says, we are currently reviewing our business insurance and how do we insure our business against fire and then a lesser amount for theft. I mean, you don't have to insure your business, your theft cover equal to your fire. I mean, you're going to cover your total stock, buildings against fire, and then a portion against theft.
Well, you must see what you think could actually be stolen if someone has to break into your premises. And
that's called a first loss.
Theft first loss. So there's no average applied to that. Whatever they steal up to your limit would be covered. For fire, I would definitely recommend a surveyor to come out from the insurance company to come and survey your premises to make sure that you are SANS compliant, that in the event that you do suffer a loss, you do get paid.
Just explain to me, you now have stepped into the role as the insurer, and you suggest an insurer comes out, but as an underwriting manager,
we would send
send
out our own surveyor to go and survey the premises, which would come back with a report, and we'll basically say either this premises complies or we need to do these things in order for the premises to comply. So maybe fire extinguishers, maybe some fire hose reels, just depending on what type of risk we're looking at insuring.
Okay. Jaime, good evening, and thank you for remembering to come back to us. Last week we were talking financially. Today we're talking your subject, short-term. Please go ahead with your question.
Brian, I have a question for you and Antonio, please. You know, we're talking about policy wording. Now, should the company change something in the policy wording? In other words, send a benefit through to the brokers that's not in the policy wording as such, in a form of a letter or so. And then there is a claim, but the broker hadn't been informed, or in Antonio's case, he's working in underwriting there, he hasn't been informed either, and there is a claim. Who does the client? He obviously comes back to the broker or the underwriting people, but the company then turns around and says, well, we sent you a letter and we sent you an email, and there's no proof of this email being sent to the broker or, say, Antonio. What happens in a case like that?
Thanks, Jaime. Antonio, we now got a policy, policy issued.
Right.
During the term of the policy year, letter gets sent out amending terms, not received by the consumer.
His claim would need to get paid. If if the insurer or the underwriting manager, I would be the one sending out the letter. So the insurer wouldn't send out the letter on my behalf, I would send it out. If I sent out the letter to the broker and the broker is supposed to send it out to the client and the client never receives it, depending where in the chain that letter never got sent out, his claim would still need to get paid.
Except the consumer's now got the problem. The client's now got the problem. He's got to prove that he was never informed.
No, he doesn't. The insurer has to prove that we sent a registered letter, that he did get the correspondence.
So you're saying any amendment to the policy has to actually go out by way of registered...
Well, what happens is that because we don't deal with the clients, we'll send a notice through to the broker, and the client needs to get 30 days notice, so we'll normally give 45 days notice of whatever amendment we're going to be doing to the policy. And then it's up to the broker to ensure that the client did receive the change.
Yeah. Antonio, just one thing about Jaime's point. If he's got a problem, his first recourse is against the broker. Then, if he's not satisfied, against the underwriting agency or the insurance
I would say
company,
just go straight to the ombudsman.
Just go straight to the phase ombud with the facts.
Well, the short-term insurance ombud.
Okay.
Because
the phase ombud would be someone reporting for the broker
something regulatory,
giving inappropriate
100%.
advice. But when it comes to
a claim,
problem,
the short-term insurance
ombudsman.
A lot of the time, you're going to get the broker saying, I never received it. You're going to get the underwriter maybe saying, I sent it to the broker. Just go straight to the short-term ombud.
Yeah.
Let him sort it out for you.
Yeah, I've looked at those statistics. They're enormous, what the short-term ombudsman has done. And so,
and he turns over a lot of claims.
Yeah.
He really does.
Mark in Hyde Park says, please could you explain how often I should reduce the value on my motor policy? Will there be big savings if I do this regularly? I think it's done automatically, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Is it not?
No, it's not. So you buy your car for 500,000 Rand, and 6 months later, it's lost maybe 10, 15% in value. At the end of the day, the insurance company, for the first year, will pay you out your retail. Most policies will pay you out what you bought it for. But thereafter, after the first year, it goes according to market value. So you will save. If you, your broker should annually review your sum insured on your motor vehicle, but you can also do it and phone it in and reduce, and will reduce your premium.
Is that a big component of the premium?
Yeah, the sum insured,
value.
100%.
Because obviously you've got damage to third parties, and you don't know what, as you said, you don't know what the value of that damage could be.
Your own damage is your major component.
Okay. Mornay in Port Elizabeth said, I've lent someone money to buy a vehicle. If I insure it, will insurers accept that I have an insurable interest and pay me out in the event of a total loss?
As long as the insurable interest is noted on the policy. So
you have to note it on the policy.
So if he's lent the money and the car is registered in his friend's name, he will need to note his interest on the policy.
Okay. Here's another one in motor. We've got quite a lot of motors this evening. Lillian Hout Bay says, please explain, and I'm not sure why Lily's complaining about it, why some insurance companies offer female policyholders a discount on short-term insurance. I didn't know they did.
Oh, no, they do.
Do they consider that females are a better driver than us males?
Well, they have small little bumper bashings, apparently. They don't really have the major claims, the big write-offs.
Again, is that, have you got evidence of that? Can you actually see that trend?
I think these insurance companies that are offering those type of premiums must have the statistics. I don't have them.
Okay. Terry in Fourway says, do underwriting, sorry, I lost that one, about to say, and I think the email was, do underwriting agencies deal with the public? You've answered that. They deal directly with brokers. Another thing important about the insurance industry is you spoke about premiums, and we talk about premiums being rock bottom. We see inflation picking up. Is it likely that we're now going to see an increase in premiums? I mean, consumers are so pressed as it is.
I would like there to be some sort of move for premiums to start increasing, but I don't actually see it. There's so much pressure on the consumer at the moment to cut costs. So now it's up to the insurer or the underwriter to actually see how internally we can cut costs and drive claims costs lower. You know, watch the panel beaters, watch the tow truck guys, watch the parts that we're procuring, you know, drive those costs.
And so let's talk about the assessor. When someone has a claim, who does the assessor actually work for?
Well, the assessor goes out on behalf of the insurer or the underwriting manager to quantify the loss. So if you have an accident with your vehicle, and your vehicle's sitting at a panel beating shop and the panel beater quotes, the assessor basically goes out to check the quote and make sure that the part prices and the labor prices are in line with market norm.
Terry in Fourway says, do underwriting agencies represent only one company? Do you represent only one company?
I do. So I underwrite on behalf of, let's say, Guardrisk insurance company, and then we've got a multitude of commercial products that we underwrite for. So we got from commercial to agriculture, petrol stations, schools, churches, but yes, all under one license.
And then Simon says, and you obviously don't deal with that, but he says, what are the dangers of buying insurance direct? I'll answer that question for you, Simon. You've got to understand, firstly, it's when you, at time of applying for insurance, you've got to give the insurers all the information, everything that's pertinent. Is, for example, have you got bars? Have you got an alarm? Have you got, is your car garage? Have you had any claims previously? All that information. The last thing you want to do is to find that you're being underwritten at claim stage.
100%. A lot of the time, people actually forget about their claims, and they will come up when you have a claim. So you need to know what you're talking about when you give all that information across.
Antonio, you talk about a windscreen claim. Someone doesn't report a windscreen claim, and then they have a claim, and you ask, "Have you had claims?" And someone says, "Yes, I've had a windscreen claim." Could that affect your judgment and your decision on paying a claim?
I don't think it should, but I have seen claims repudiated because you haven't. Even if you've had a loss and you haven't had a claim and you haven't reported it, and somehow the insurer manages to find out that you did suffer a loss. So they don't just talk about a claim, they talk about, have you suffered a loss?
Well, it appears that the ever-competitive short-term insurance will continue to innovate with the objective of providing consumers with a better understanding of what they're insured for. However, it's up to the individual to read their policy in order to understand what they're covered for to avoid problems at claim stage. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Antonio for joining me this evening.
That's great.
Before acting on any information you may have heard, please consult with your own short-term insurance broker. Next week, we'll be dealing with estate planning. If you need to get hold of me, my details will appear on the screen. I'd like to thank you for watching, and good night.